Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. It is Thursday the 4th of April 2019 and tonight's topic, eBay to sponsor Census Crypto Conference in May. Now we're going to do a little speculation here. I haven't seen anyone speculating on this, but we're going to do a little speculating about eBay and accepting cryptocurrencies when we talk about the upcoming Consensus 2019 conference. And then we've also got a few stories. We've got some classic Trump trolling. We have some stories on the Mueller report, some stories about new entrants into the 2020 presidential campaign, and of course we've got a good number of crypto stories to go through, and we're going to cover the gold and silver, and the big winner today was Palladium. Palladium had a mega day today, up about 30 points. Let's take a look. The general markets were in the equities. Well, the Dow was up 166 points, up to 26,384. That was up 0.64%, but the Nasdaq was flat. Quite an interesting day. And the S&P 500 was up marginally, up to about 6 points, up 0.21%. The dollar index was a big winner today, up 0.26% to 97.29. So the dollar holding strong. But the big winner today was platinum, getting almost up to that $900 level. Now platinum had been smashed down recently, and we actually did a poll about 2 months ago. Another one of those inflection points, if you recall. I asked the Smaulgld mug stackers and game changers if you wanted a story on platinum, and here's what you said. Maybe. So I didn't do it. So we didn't learn about platinum any more than we had already learned. And since then, though, the price has gone from about $790. It's gone up about $100, about $100 to $890. Let's take a look at the gold and silver prices today. Bit of a seesaw day today. We went down and then we went up and closed the day up $2.37. Last close $12.92. Current after hours is at $12.93, still below 1300, but up 0.18%. Silver also took a dive today, and actually a bigger dive than gold, but then it also rallied a bit higher, and it ended up closing the day with a similar gain to gold, pretty much no gain, but silver did manage to squeak back up above its opening price, up 2 cents to $15.13, and in the aftermarkets it's at $15.15. And what did today's pricing action do for the unsustainable, out of whack gold silver ratio? Pretty much nothing. It's still at 85.33 to 1, although at one point it had climbed up to 86.31 to 1. So we're touching on that multi-decade high there. Really got to hit 90 to secure that. Okay, today Fed news, very interesting. The other day we talked about how gold standard friendly, I think his name is Stephen Moore, will be nominated by President Trump. He had some issues with his taxes, not quite sure exactly what they were. Wasn't that he didn't pay them, they were in dispute? I'm not sure. We're not sure. He'll probably be confirmed. And now Trump is also expecting to nominate former presidential candidate and also former, I think he was on the Kansas City board, one of the regional Fed banks, Herman Cain. He also owned a pizza chain. So he was also I think he had a plan called 999. He was hounded out of the presidential primaries due to sexual harassment claims. And they'll probably come up again in the nomination hearings or confirmation hearings. So that would give Trump 2 additional members of the Fed board. 2 guys that are more or less sound money type people rather than some of the Yellen types that they have on the board. And when we mentioned yesterday that Trump was also thinking of ditching Powell at some point, so it was a serious consideration. As to 2020, well, there's another guy running. His name is, I thought it was Paul Ryan, but it's not. It's no, he's not running. The guy's name is Tim Ryan, and he is a Democrat from Ohio. He's a congressman. He's been there since 2002, and I know he's got little name recognition. There's a lot of big names running. Speaking of big names that are running, there is a guy named Joe Biden who's now been, I would say, forever tagged as Creepy Joe Biden, Creepy Uncle Joe. That has become a moniker of his. There's been many pictures of him appearing to fondle in public during these, when they bring the new members of the Senate in, little children and the women, and sniffing their hair and rubbing their shoulders. And now there's been complaints by some women saying that he's creeped them out, acted inappropriately. But Donald Trump did one of the ultimate troll things today on Twitter. He actually posted a video that said, "Welcome back, Joe." And you can go check it out, but I'll just show you the screenshot. He has Joe Biden making his apology of how he's kind of a touchy-feely guy. He thinks politics is all about getting to know people, making them feel comfortable, glad handing them, putting a hand on the shoulder, putting a hand wherever. And so he gave this little talk saying, look, I get it. Some people don't like it. I hear it. And here's what Donald Trump put together, or someone on his team put together a 15-second video of Joe Biden groping Joe Biden. And there's a still shot there of Joe, complete with sound, where Joe is sniffing Joe Biden's hair, rubbing him on the shoulders there. So welcome back, Joe. Troller in chief, Donald Trump, comes through again. All right. The Mueller report. Now, this one it was almost designed to keep the story alive by not actually making a ruling on obstruction of justice. It was very cleverly done. I mean, after all, he couldn't come up with something on collusion, so he said no collusion. But on obstruction of justice, well, we're not quite sure. We can't exonerate, which prosecutors don't exonerate anyone. They either bring charges or they don't bring charges. But what he said instead, Mueller's report said instead, was, oh, we're not sure. So when they know that under the rules of the special prosecutor, that then the attorney general would make the decision. So Barr and Rod Rosenstein made the decision, no obstruction of justice, which of course will keep this alive because they'll say that Barr was conflicted. Barr had already written a memo 6 months ago, a year ago, whenever it was, that whatever Trump was doing, he couldn't be obstructing justice by tweeting. And of course, Rod Rosenstein weighed in on this as well. But that gives the issue some legs to continue to say, well, there is obstruction. We need to see the report. It's never going to end. But one thing is that the Smaulgld mug stackers called it pretty much on the spot. We asked before the Mueller report was issued. We said it's set to be released. When it is released, it will contain, first choice was complete exoneration of Trump. Well, the report didn't have a complete exoneration of Trump. The results of the report being handed to Barr, did have that result, because then Barr said no obstruction. 17% gave that answer. Nearly 70% said no charges but criticism of Trump or the Trump campaign. And that's exactly what we have. We have, well, we're not sure. Here's evidence on this side that there was obstruction. There's evidence on that side that it's not. And that's exactly what you guys predicted in bulk. And that does keep this issue alive. Only 3% even thought there'd be charges of crimes committed by the Trump or Trump campaign. And some thought, 10% thought, that maybe there might be charges of wrongdoing by the Clinton campaign, the DNC, FBI, or DOJ. That wasn't what Mueller was ever going to do. If those charges ever come, they'd come from a separate special counsel that Bob Maher, what's his name? Bob Maher. I'm thinking Bill Maher and William Barr. Okay, Bill Maher is a TV talk show host on late night, and William Barr is the new attorney general. That would be his job, to appoint a special counsel to make charges of wrongdoing against the Clinton campaign or anything related to the Clinton Foundation, how the FISA warrants are issued, the origin of the Russian collusion stroke hoax, that would be up to a new special counsel. That was never what Bob Mueller was looking at. Okay. One other thing now that is up in the air and is now creating a lot of controversy. The Democratic-controlled House and Ways and Means Committee, Richard Neal, sent a letter to the IRS requesting copies of Trump's tax returns from 2013 to 2018. I'm not sure what the basis would be for those tax returns. I looked at the letter. They just want them. And asking for his tax returns for a period of time before he was president, I'm not quite sure what they're getting at there. Are they just investigating? There doesn't seem to be a predicate to ask for them other than they want them because they want to try to find something. So it's actually become, in a sense, a witch hunt because they're looking for things. There's no basis to want other than they want to see them. But this could be a very dangerous game, and I'm not quite sure this is the game. When we talk strategy, I'm thinking this is not the best strategy. I asked a poll on Twitter, and I asked the Smaulgld mug stackers and game changers also on YouTube a question. Now, the Twitter response left out a response, but let's take a look at what the answers were. So the question was, since the House Ways and Means Committee has asked for or demanded to see Donald Trump's tax returns from the IRS, I asked who should have to publicly disclose their tax returns. Very interesting. 7% said the president, 4% said the presidential candidates, 10% said all senators and members of Congress, and nearly 80% said, how about everyone? Now, I didn't have the answer because Twitter doesn't allow 5 response, it only allows 4. I didn't have the answer, none of the above. But it seems to me, and it seems to most people, that sure, if you're in the habit of collecting tax returns of public officials, well, more people thought you should get them from the senators and the Congress people than the president. But really, if you add them up, nearly everyone is saying everyone should be subject to this rule that you have to disclose your tax returns if you're going to make one person put them forward. What I'm interested in is, sure, Donald Trump could have things in his tax returns that could raise eyebrows as a private citizen, a private businessman. You might uncover some shady deductions, some shady business practices. But what's interesting also to me is, how do these members of Congress who have no visible means of income other than the $179,000 they make as a congressperson and the $200,000 they make as a senator, and usually having to maintain 2 residences, meaning they have some type of apartment in D.C. and then back in their district they have to maintain some residence. Now, $179,000 sounds like a lot of money, but it's not if you have a full family of 3, 4, 5, or even if you have no family, but you have 2 houses and you have to pay a rent or mortgage on both of them. Doesn't leave you much to save, even if you're frugal. But somehow these people leave Congress or in Congress and have net worth, net assets in the millions. And you just wonder how that might happen. So it's interesting that they're pushing for the tax returns. I mean, Nancy Pelosi's must be a doozy to look at. I mean, her family and her husband have plenty of money out in San Francisco. They own what's called Pelosi Island. They've got plenty of money. Not that there's anything wrong with having plenty of money, but the idea that they're above scrutiny doesn't make sense. It's the same with their health care plan. They signed everyone up for Obamacare, but didn't sign themselves up for it. So I would imagine there might be some blowback on this. And if I were the president, which I'm not, although we did get nominations for me a few weeks back, a few days back, I remember. There was a small campaign in the comment section. I would ask for all the ranking members of all the committees, Senate and Congressional. I want to see their tax returns, and then I'd see how far that goes. All right. What else now? I think the big story, I do want to get into these crypto stories. Now, for those gold and silver aficionados, I have not forgotten And we're going to do Saturday night silver with Smaulgld, and we won't talk about cryptos. We won't even probably talk about gold. We're going to go through some of the mint numbers of the Perth Mint, the U.S. Mint. We're going to take a look also on Saturday night at some of the commitment of traders. We're going to take a look at the COMEX warehouses. So again, Saturday night, full-on silver. Saturday night, silver with Smaulgld. Mark it on your calendar. Probably start around 7 Eastern time. Tonight, apologize, I started just a bit early. I've got some things I got to get taken care of. All right, let's get into the crypto stories, and then we're going to get into the pricing and also what's going on with this consensus 2019 that'll take place in New York. Well, let's take a look first at the pricing. So, the past couple of days, Bitcoin has been on a bit of a tear, and starting last night, it had stopped going higher and started to retrace its steps. It got as high as about 5,300, and you can see on the chart there it got up to about 5,300, fell back down, and today it's been drifting lower, and it got back above 4,900 when I made this chart. Right now it's at 4,892, so it's down about less than 4% in the past 24 hours. You can see where that shows up on the chart there. What else do we got? We got Ethereum, I think, is next. Let's take a look at what Ethereum did today. And similar movement, almost identical chart. The last 2 days, you see the pair of spikes, and then you see the drop off. Although today, in the last 24 hours, Ethereum's down about 4.5%. And right now, it's at about $157.38. Yes, indeed, Seamus. For you people following XRP, or what's it called? No, I didn't get the chart. I'm sorry, I didn't. Oh, there it is. The Ripple. I called it Ripple, not XRP. There it is. Same, almost the same looking chart as Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that's down just a bit. That's at 33 cents right now. Litecoin went up a bit, then came down a bit, and looks like it's heading back higher a bit, but I think it is down on the last 24 hours. Nope. It's actually flat. It's at 83.90. So Litecoin has managed just to remain flat in the past 24 hours. It was Bcash that was the huge winner of the past couple of days, up over 60%, up 100% on the week. Then it had taken a bit of a dive, and right now Bcash is at about 290. What's at 277 right now? It's down 18%, but that's the one. No, it's down 3.21%. Just refreshed. Depends on which 24 hours you're looking at, but it did reach as high as $340. It is now at 288. So huge run up from $160. It had more than doubled. It went from 160 to 340. So the 320 would be 100%. I went to 340. It's right now at 288.52. So even though it took a big dip, it had a huge run up. For those you follow some of the more less followed coins, Basic Attention Token is down to about 28 cents. It had peaked around 32 cents. That one had been rising for a couple of weeks. Anne follows one called Theta. Let's take a look at that one. And that one is, well, it's gone up pretty much. It's like at 12 cents. And Elon Musk's favorite coin, Dogecoin. Let's take a look at what Doge has been doing. Well, it looks like it peaked when he liked it the most. That's a coin that trades at a fraction of a cent. And I can't even read what it is, but the Dogecoin on a bit of a run up the past week and a half or so as well, also pulling back after it peaked on the comments from Elon Musk. And then I think we also have Stellar Lumens. Yep, we do. There it is. And that one's also gone up, and it's also come down. So while they've all come down, they haven't come down from where they started the past couple of days. These next few days will probably either see, and this is not really any prediction, because I'm going to tell you they can go in 3 different directions, higher, lower, or stay the same. But that is what I think is going to happen. But what's important is if they stay the same where they are now and they base build, that's probably a good thing for them to go higher later. If they just collapse right back down to where they came from, that's probably not a good thing unless they then stabilize slightly higher than where they rose from, then they might bounce back up. Or they can crash through where they started from, and then they're probably heading down. So there's your three options. And I don't know. Okay, let's get a couple of stories here before we get to the top story on consensus in eBay. Just these stories happen all the time. We hear them report on them. They don't mean anything in the individual, but in the aggregate they do. 5-star Swiss hotel set to accept Bitcoin payments according to CoinDesk. This is a 5-star hotel in Switzerland. Beautiful looking hotel there. I wouldn't even want to go skiing if I was there. It looks like you just want to stay there. All right, what else do we have? Now we talk about ETFs and exchange-traded products. That's what they're called in Europe. Yesterday, we reported that there is now a Ripple and a Bitcoin exchange-traded product that's traded out of the Swiss stock exchange. And they have plans to add Litecoin and Ethereum. And today we learn that an XRP, Litecoin, and Litecoin exchange-traded products went live on the Stuttgart Stock Exchange. So we're seeing we're not just waiting on the US SEC to approve a Bitcoin ETF. We now have Bitcoin ETFs in European exchanges, and we have Litecoin and XRP exchange-traded products in Switzerland, and Stuttgart in Deutschland. All right. Also, we like to talk about when there's investment in cryptocurrencies, and this has really been a big key since 2018. Even with the price dropping, lots of money pouring into the space. Here's one. Former Obama administration officials. So when people say that they're going to shut this down, no way, Jose. There are government people all over this, people that have an interest in investing in cryptocurrencies, investing in ecosystem type things, stable coins, exchanges. This one they're raising money for, I don't even know what it's for, but $3.7 million. And someone, former Obama administration official. It's a minor deal. It's $3.7 million in funding. It's just the fact that they're putting money into this, and they're not putting money into it thinking, oh, I'm going to put money in and then the government's going to shut it down. Not going to happen. Andreessen, and Horowitz. Now, some of you are old enough to remember Mark Andreessen was the 22, 24-year-old guy who developed the Mozilla browser / Netscape browser back in 1994. Became a big deal. The company went public. Microsoft got into the browser business and the browser wars. But this created a big name for him, and he then parlayed his fame as a tech whiz kid. Back then, it was a big deal to be able to write a browser code because no one had done it. And then he became a venture capitalist. He's been doing it probably for 20 years now at least. And his firm now has added investment advisory capabilities so that the company can buy cryptocurrencies. And I think, they have reportedly registered all 150 of its employees as financial advisors to invest more heavily in risky assets such as crypto. And again, they're not doing this because they expect the government to shut it down. They're doing all this with a nod and a wink and even tacit and explicit approval from the government. And then there's the Litecoin Bank. You guys may be aware of this. Litecoin and a company called Token Pay. They went in halvesies or whatever in on a bank in Germany. The idea was they needed access to the banking system. So between now another company, Nimic, has added some equity into this bank. So between these three crypto entities, Nimic, Token Pay, and Litecoin Foundation, they own about 30% of this VEG bank in Germany, which means they have access to the SWIFT system. They can take crypto deposits, people who are in blockchain, and not have to worry about the bank shutting them down because the bank is indeed partially owned and crypto friendly. In fact, they have an agreement, I think TokenPay has, to buy the remaining shares. The reason they've done it where they have 30% collectively is no one entity can buy more than 9.9% without approval, and I don't think they have the approval yet. So they just bring in these crypto friendly partners, and they each buy 9.9%. You get 3 of them, you get 30% of the bank. All right, let's take a look at this consensus and why I will label this 100% speculation. This isn't game over, game changer, head to the races, buy now nonsense. Well, this is just pointing something out that oftentimes at conferences or when companies like to make announcements, and I'm not even predicting eBay will make any announcement, but it is interesting that eBay is going to attend this conference, which is probably the largest crypto conference in the world, and they have them twice during the year, once in the spring and once in the fall. Now, last fall we covered who was at it. We had the SEC chairman, we had Mohammed Al-Aaron, we had a bunch of very high-profile people attending the conference. In fact, I did a whole YouTube on it. You might want to go back and see what happened then. That's where Bakkt was there. They were talking about what they were going to come out with their trading platform of cryptocurrencies, physically delivered options, storing of Bitcoin, converting Bitcoin into fiat so it could be used for in commerce. That's why they have Starbucks involved in that consortium with Microsoft and the New York Stock Exchange. But this year, they've already announced the date. I think it's May 14th or so. It's a 2-day event. But I notice I like to go through when I see these announcements and who's going to go to them. Not just who's going to go and who's going to speak, but who's sponsoring the entity. So, for example, I think it's significant, but no secret anymore, that Fidelity would be interested. Fidelity now has Fidelity is just one of the largest amounts of money under management, and they have mutual funds, they have a trading platform, and they opened up a Fidelity Digital Assets a couple of years ago. That is now live. They have a select number of institutional clients. They trade and store cryptocurrencies for them, and they're going to be there, and CoinDesk announced them as a sponsor. They beat TD Ameritrade's trading platform. They haven't launched theirs yet. That's coming out, and that's going to be called Eris X. And I believe Fidelity even has a equity piece in that as well. So Fidelity will be sponsoring that. No big surprise. But I thought the big interesting surprise was that eBay would be sponsoring. Now, I haven't seen them as a sponsor at this before. And the reason I think that's potentially noteworthy is back in 2017. People forget all this stuff, but I don't. In 2017, the guy's name was Scott Cutler. He's the vice president of eBay America or something, and he was on Yahoo Finance, and he was saying that Yahoo is seriously considering accepting Bitcoin. He says we're not quite there yet. Now, this was at the height of the. I remember this was the huge news because crypto was already, this is December 2017, was going up $2,000 a day, and you didn't take much. eBay say, well, we're gonna accept cryptocurrency. It's to the moon. When Lambo, game over, game changer, the whole thing, whole 9 yards, as they say. It's a military term. Well, then you never heard anything else about eBay, and I remember he was on last November. He was on Yahoo Finance again. But no one really cared about Bitcoin at the time. Bitcoin had seemed to be yesterday's news last November. It had gone from 20,000 in January, was down in the $3,500 range, and there wasn't any big excitement about even using the word Bitcoin back then. And he was on, I think he was on with the same people, and he was saying something like, oh, yeah, they mentioned something about Bitcoin, not about accepting Bitcoin. And then he's like, oh, yeah, ghost of Christmas past. And he didn't seem to be interested, and there was no follow-up questions to this guy. And so that's it. So the last time eBay said that I could find was looking into this. It was back in December 2017. They're looking into it, not quite there yet, and haven't heard boo from them about it since. And now here we are, 16 months later, and they still haven't approved the acceptance of Bitcoin. In fact, earlier I looked in today, in 2013, there was a question on the eBay community bulletin boards where an eBay person stepped up. 2013, September 15th, when is eBay going to start accepting Bitcoin for payment? Well, back then, there was no reason for them to do it. Very few people even heard of it. But it says Bitcoin is clearly growing in popularity and demonstrated usefulness. There are security concerns, but if anyone has a capability to figure out these issues and deal with them, it's eBay and PayPal. Well, they haven't figured it out, and I'm wondering if they're going to figure it out. However, the reason I mentioned them coming to consensus is probably not to make an announcement, but don't rule that out. They could, but maybe just to learn more and pick up some more information, get their name out. I have no idea, but I do think it is noteworthy, remarkable. I don't know, meaning worth remarking on, not remarkable like amazing, that eBay is going to sponsor and probably attend. I don't think they're just going to give them money, or maybe they are just going to put money there. I didn't see any eBay, this could change, eBay speaker listed in the syllabus of who they have speaking. So it could be they're just putting their name out there, and maybe they'll make an announcement, and maybe they won't. Could be they're sponsoring this. They don't sponsor out of the goodness of their heart. I mean, it's not like Consensus needs money and that eBay needs to support a conference. The only reason you support a conference is if you look at the people who support them, they generally have booths there, they have speakers there. They want to get something out of the conference. It's not charity. So it's not like eBay's like, yeah, we'll throw a little money over here to Consensus. They've got to have some. That's why I say they might make an announcement. They might send a speaker. They might just want to learn something. But the fact that they're sponsoring it, to me, means something. I don't know what it means, but it doesn't mean they just feel like they need to throw money at a conference because it's in their budget. But also, sponsoring, and Bakkt is going to sponsor it again this year, but that's no surprise. Coinbase is going to sponsor. Fidelity is going to sponsor. Would have been big news if they hadn't sponsored before, but that happened last year. CME Group, that's a big deal, but they did that last year. CME Group's the one that runs the Bitcoin futures and even more notoriously runs the gold and silver futures exchange. IBM is going to sponsor it. They're the big sponsor. What I thought was another very interesting sponsor was Deloitte. Now, Deloitte, from what I remember, used to be Deloitte Touche, a Big 8 accounting firm. I think there's now Big 2 or Big 3 or Big 4. Anyway, the idea that an accounting firm is going to be there as a big sponsor ties into my theory that Silicon Valley, Wall Street, along with their attendant armies of lawyers, bankers, and accountants, want this crypto bubble, and you need to have crypto accounting. If you're going to accept cryptocurrency, you're going to trade cryptocurrency, there's all types of tax and accounting regulations, and you need to know it. And so I think that's the reason Deloitte's there. Other sponsors there, you've got Perkins Coie. They're famous for being the Hillary Clinton law firm involved with the Steele dossier. Davis Polk, which is a white shoe Wall Street law firm. I saw a bunch of other law firms and accounting firms that will be attending and or sponsoring. For the gold people out there, Digital Swiss Gold is also sponsoring it there, and that's got to be one of those companies that is going to put the gold on the blockchain. So lots of interesting things happening at Consensus, and we'll have to wait and see how many more speakers are announced, and then we'll follow it. And I'll probably do what I did last time, try to do a full recap of the Consensus. And that's a time also that moves markets, because if companies are making announcements, this stuff trades on a lot of sentiment and announcements and things of that nature. All right, that's it for tonight. We'll be back again tomorrow night and Saturday night. Look forward to Saturday night silver with Smaulgld. We'll do the U.S. Mint, Perth Mint, take a look at some of the COMEX, commitment of traders, owners per ounce, all that wonderful information that we go through, the silver stockpiles and the JP Morgan vault, the Brinks vault, the HSBC vaults. We're going to take a look at all of that stuff. But now we're going to take a look at, oh, big news. We're going to take a look at what you guys have to say. But I got my This Guy mug in the mail today. I also got a travel mug. This is the second one I have. But there it is in the middle next to the Smaulgld. Which one is that? That is the frosted beer mug, and then of course the Smaulgld beer stein. So there it is, the Smaulgld This Guy mug. There it is, This Guy mug. Astride it, the Smaulgld 22-ounce beer stein and the 16-ounce Smaulgld frosted beer mug. By the way, the Austrian Philharmonic sale, buy 19, get the 20th for free sale at SD Bullion is still on. So if you're interested in that offer, it is still on. I'll leave you the link. It's one in which Smaulgld gets a small commission, full disclosure. If you do buy, but you pay no more, no less than you visit the site directly. And they are beautiful coins. They represent the Austrian Philharmonic. You got the organ, the big organ in the back there, and in the front you have all of the Philharmonic instruments. 1 ounce fine silver, and it is a sovereign coin, so it is not a round. It is a coin. It's priced closer to a round than a coin. The American Silver Eagle is the most expensive, and then the Canadian Maple Leafs are almost as expensive. These are much more reasonably priced, so you can get 20 of them for the price of 19. It's essentially a 5% discount. And let me just show you the chart if you didn't see it last night. I did a chart on how many of these things they've sold. You can see they're not selling many recently, but then nor is the U.S. Mint. We'll get to that tomorrow night, Saturday night, or the Canadian Mint, or the Perth Mint. The sales of silver have been down across the board, and the Austrian Mint no different. I think the Austrian Mint suffers a bit more in Europe because of the value-added tax that they have. But the Austrian Mint is the big purveyor of gold and silver coins in Europe. So it is not an insignificant mint, and they are highly recognized. So if you're in the market for bullion, and they're attractive looking, they're nice looking, definitely check that out, and I will leave a link for you. And then we're going to get to your comments and see what you're saying. Mug stackers. And if anyone received theirs, and you might have received your, I think you ordered around the time I did, so your travel mug should be there. Here's a funny comment. Cryptos are responding better to Basel III than metals. Crypto shortage, Bitcoin backed yuan, sovereign size, Bitcoin buy in 45 days, Bitcoin trade note from bitcoinpumper.com. Yep, we live amongst the pumpers, but we don't let that get to us. All right, let's get to your comments. And there's the Smaulgld fundraising page where you can donate via Bitcoin or Litecoin if you appreciate the show. You can buy a mug. You can support Smaulgld by check or send precious metals, cash. Smaulgld LLC, P.O. Box 714, Dover, New Hampshire 03821. Or you can donate via Patreon or even Subscribestar. Now we have Subscribestar Mug Stacker Club tiers and also PayPal. All right, let's take a look at our comments and questions tonight. What do we got? Pablo is here. Crypto Shrugged author. We got a full crowd here. All right. Ann Holloman. Wow, a crypto bank 30% owned by crypto. Isn't that interesting? Consensus. Jack is here. Oh, good. And my mugs are here. Just got the email. Okay. Jack is jealous of your mug. I'll leave you the guys the link. I mean, the easiest way to get the Austrian Philharmonic special, to find the links for the mugs, it's all on Smaulgld.com. But if you do go to the link for the Smaulgld, the Philharmonics, it used to be when you clicked on the link and went to the home page, you had a big banner ad for the Austrian Philharmonics. Now it's on a scrolling banner, so it's the third banner that goes by. So you won't see it the moment your page loads, but it's there. And if somehow your scroller doesn't work, just click on silver and go to Austrian Philharmonics. And that special is still there. I should have ordered the travel and one more, but I can't remember what I ordered. All right. Let's see. What's the this guy mug to that guy Stein ratio? All right. Porcelain. Yeah, we also sold some. We have Smaulgld glass. Glass is not as durable as mugs. Still good in a crisis. You still need glasses. Good prepper item. Smaulgld glass. And of course we have shot glasses too. Johnny on the Spot says, what time does this YouTube cast usually start? Usually starts at 7 Eastern Standard Time. I started a little early this time. Also, we have a lot of people, and Philip is here. Philip McCain, hello. We normally have people who say they don't always make the live stream. So if I do start a half hour early, half hour later, I apologize. But we do know that you can always catch it on the rebound. Coins AZ says, Jack, is JP Morgan stacking 79 million ounces of porcelain mugs? If you remember in 18 Reasons to Buy and Hoard Mugs, it says JP Morgan and the offices of JP Morgan are stacking mugs. That's another one of your silver pumper nonsense stories about JP Morgan and hundreds of millions of ounces of silver that they bought silver eagles and silver maple leafs. Complete rubbish. All right. Anything else? Johnny said, okay, usually dinner at 7. That's why I'm missing it. Okay. You can always catch it on the rebound. Jack says JP Morgan just purchased 50 tons of mugs from the Bank of England on discount and went missing over the ocean. Yes. They could try to take custody of their mugs, but they were denied. Seth is here. Hello, Seth. What a couple of days for crypto, says Seth. Yes, indeed. All right, everyone. Well, we'll see you tomorrow night, unless you've got any other comments or questions in 10 seconds. I'm going to sign off, and then we'll see you tomorrow. So, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1%, 0. Well, stack your mugs. Happy stacking. And good night.